Welcome back. You're watching ED Insight. Rural India is spending more than ever before. Government estimates indicate that rural spending has increased by 65% since 2005. Couple that with high awareness and more education, and what you have is a potent combination that marketers find hard to resist. So which sectors are doing well and how is India Inc. tapping this huge opportunity? Nikhil Sivadas finds out.
These are modern times. Everyone is wearing jeans. I am also wearing one.
I am buying t-shirt because they are in fashion.
फैंसी में आप कपड़े देख लो, जूते देख लो, चप्पल देख लो, सब कंपनी का, ब्रांडेड कंपनी का, सब पहनना चाहते हैं. कोई भी जाएगा, नॉर्मल कोई नहीं पहनना चाहता, सब रिवाइज के शोरूम में जाएगा, वहाँ से कपड़े लाएगा.
230 million consumers. Consumers that have been ignored for decades, but not anymore. And the ball is now quite literally in rural India's court, and marketeers are dancing to the tunes of the hinterland. After all, Bharat is now where the big ticket growth is coming from, especially in the case of FMCG goods.
Rural India continues to grow and it does so for most FMCG, if not all FMCG companies, including ours.
The rural growth has been outpacing the urban growth, and in case of us also we have taken certain positive steps in terms of driving our rural contribution up, which was say 25% 2 years ago. Currently last quarter it has moved to 30%, and we believe that in certain quarters, in the coming quarters also, we believe that the rural growth will continue to outpace urban growth.
If I need to make a comparison between the urban growths and the rural growths, we feel that the rural growths have been higher by about 6 to 10 percentage points over the urban growths that we have registered. So in case of let's say the skin cream segments, the hair oil segments, if we have grown by about 20% on our rural growths, urban growths have been about 14 to 15%.
Not only is the rural market growing faster than the urban market, it's also consuming more. According to a recent analysis by IMRB, purchase volumes of several FMCG products like soaps, washing powder, hair oil and biscuits are getting as strong as those in urban India. The only difference is that the products used by rural India may or may not be branded. But that is changing as large FMCG giants are expanding their distribution networks, creating tailor-made products for the countryside and even fixing price points to lure consumers.
Impulse categories are by far growing the fastest in rural India. Categories like chocolates, biscuits, salty snacks like chips, confectionery put together are growing at 30% in rural India. And it's not just 1 year, it's a substantial growth over the last 3 to 4 years.
So what are the hot FMCG products in rural India? According to global consulting firm Nielsen, in the first half of this year, the top 10 rural categories in terms of growth were salty snacks, refined edible oils, non-refined oil, biscuits, shampoos, hair oil, iodized salt, packaged tea, toilet soaps and washing powders. As rural India takes to consuming more, India Inc. is playing to please.
Not only brands like Tiger and Good Day, but also brands like Bourbon find an increasing presence across rural India. Yes, it may be at a scale different from the staples, but it's increasing at a very fast pace. And that's one example. It's partly helped by our tapping into that demand by having the right size packs for rural, by promoting it in terms of presence and other activities.
Some of the consumers do not have the same kind of outlays for the products they buy, so we're making products more accessible to them. Now it could be in terms of same products with low price SKUs, so well talked about LUPs for rural. We're doing that. We're also looking at re-engineering our products, some of the products, and making them available to consumers at a fairly aggressive pricing, which will help them choose our products vis-a-vis other products that they have an option of.
We have started our rural thrust 2 years back, where we said that we will attack all the feeder markets which in turn go and feed to the products into the rural India. We have done around about 5,000 feeder markets in phase 1, and we are now trying to do 8,000 feeder markets in the coming 2 to 3 years. And we believe these feeder markets play a critical role in distributing our products into rural masses.
from FMCG to consumer durables. According to ASSOCHAM, India's rural consumer durables market is growing at 30% per year and is likely to see a 40% growth in the current year. The popular segments are refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines and televisions.
I came to buy DTH because it is better than cable.
I live in a village with no cable, so I came here to buy a DVD player.
With consumers queuing up, durable and appliance companies are tailor-making products to tap the huge potential of the rural market.
There are product categories that the rural market is far more significant for us. Like if you take a category in like washing machines, it's semi-automatic washing machines. If you take televisions, it's flat television CRTs. If you take refrigerators, it is the direct cool or one door category. So we have a range of products that cater to the requirement of the Indian rural population.
Super distributors who in turn go to towns which have population of up to 50,000 population they are covering, and they in turn, along with the lighting products, they also take the low-end fans which are Bahar fans, or the low-end appliances like iron. They'll take popular irons, they'll take toasters, etc., which are the low end, so that it becomes a full package for them.
Next in line is telecom. There are nearly 300 million mobile users in rural India, and this segment accounts for nearly 50% of the growth in telecom subscriptions.
Today the rural penetration of mobile telephony is approximately about 35% and at Airtel we've got almost about half our customer base is from rural areas, and incrementally we're adding 60 to 70% of our new customers are actually coming in from rural markets. So fundamentally you're actually seeing the rural markets grow at a significantly faster pace because the penetration levels are significantly lower than urban markets.
The explosive growth in telecom services in rural India has led to a rise in demand for tailor-made mobile phones. Samsung has come out with solar-powered phones, while Micromax has launched rural-specific versions of its popular handsets.
One of our products, X285, it's got an extra loud speaker which appeals strongly to the rural consumers, but for the urban consumers it's the security on SMS and your files and your call logs, which is more interesting. So it's important to understand what would appeal to them and accordingly ensure that the channel is trained accordingly.
From telecom to the internet, the Internet and Mobility Association of India estimates that the number of active rural internet users in the country will touch 24 million users by 2012. That's a 98% rise from the 12.1 million it was in 2010. Connectivity means a lot to rural India, and apart from the telecom sector, it's the automobile sector which realizes that. India is among the world's top two-wheeler and passenger car markets, but growth from urban centers is slowing down. And to stay in gear, the auto sector needs to shift focus to rural India. And it's been doing just that.
Overall contribution from the rural is something like 40 to 45%, but it's always come from the showrooms and the dealers we have, which may not be actually in the rural places, but will be closer rural places, 25 kilometers from the village, 50 kilometers from the village, depending upon state to state. You can safely assume about 40% of the sales will come from rural India.
10 years back, if we see the tractor sales, more than 95%, very close to 100% were financed by the banks. But over the year the things have changed. Today there are cash sale to the tune of more than 25%. So this clearly shows the income has increased.
From auto to retail, everyone wants a bite of the rural pie. For instance, DCM Shriram, with its 275 outlets spread across the country, initially planned to only focus on agri-inputs. But rising demand from the rural sector forced a push into more categories.
In fact, very soon we had to make it a one-stop shop which had food and grocery items, which had household items, and which had lifestyle items.
And India's largest retailer, Future Group, has joined hands with Godrej Agrovet to set up Aadhar for wholesale distribution of fruits and vegetables across different districts. Future Group is also working on a unique cash and carry model for rural India, which is to be launched in a month.
Our cash and carry model is going to be very, very important because it will be servicing the needs of the rural consumers through existing retail network, and we will be feeding the retail network through our cash and carry model. So in that sense it is going to be a unique model which will cut down on number of intermediaries, the time taken for reaching to the market, as well as developing a low cost model of distribution, which is very, very relevant for our country.
It's relevant because the market is massive. Marketers know that demand in rural India is growing at a scorching pace. And they can't miss this ride because growth in Bharat will drive the Indian economy through these tough times.
But all the wealth and opportunities are not enough to keep migration under check. So why is the rural Indian still obsessed with the urban legend? That and more is coming up after this short break. Don't go away.